What if the cruelest moment of someone's life happened in public, and the one person who could stop it walked in seconds too late or right on time? She was 19, an orphan with a borrowed uniform and shaking hands, trying to balance a tray like it was her last chance at being normal. Then the room turned on her. A customer laughed, a co-worker smirked, and someone whispered the word that had followed her from foster homes to cold hallways: useless. It wasn't just said, it was proven. At least that's what they wanted. A plate accidentally tipped, a bowl of stew slid off a tray, and before she could step back, warm food splashed down the front of her shirt like a public sentence. The dining room erupted in giggles and judgment, the kind that sticks to skin. She didn't cry, not because she was strong, but because she'd learned that tears were expensive. And when she slipped toward the back to clean herself in secret, the front doors opened, with a sound that sliced through the noise. Bootsteps, sharp, measured. Fair small convoy entered, pressed uniforms, quiet radios, eyes scanning the room. The staff froze like someone had hit pause on the whole restaurant, and at the center of them all walked a general, the kind of man whose presence made people sit straighter without knowing why. He didn't look at the menu. He looked straight at her. Before we jump in, tap like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss stories that hit you in the chest and leave you thinking. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? What city or country? Also, if you've ever been judged in a job for one mistake, type "I've been there." Because what happens next changes everything. The restaurant was called the Harbor Room, but there was nothing gentle about it. Brass rails, white tablecloths, and a kind of lighting that made everyone look important, until they weren't. Lena stood at the staff entrance with a paper cup of water in hand, and a name tag that still smelled like adhesive. Her reflection in the glass showed a girl trying to look older than she felt. Hair pinned back, chin up, hands tucked behind her apron so nobody would see the tremble. "First day?" a hostess asked, not unkindly. Lena nodded. "Yes, ma'am." The hostess glanced at Lena's shoes, scuffed, clean but tired, and lowered her voice. "Keep your head down. Some people here treat new girls like entertainment." Lena managed a small smile like she understood. She didn't explain that she'd been new her whole life. New to homes, new to schools, new to rules that changed depending on who was tired or angry. In the break area, the manager, Darla Rourke, clapped her hands like she was calling dogs. "All right, we're not running a charity. If you're slow, you're gone. If you're clumsy, you're gone. If you're useless," she let the word hang, "you're gone." A few servers laughed, not loudly, just enough to show they agreed with the joke. Lena swallowed. The word useless pressed against her ribs the way it always did, like a thumb testing a bruise. Training lasted 15 minutes. Where the side plates go, how to carry 3 drinks at once, what to say when someone snapped their fingers. Darla spoke fast, and when Lena asked one question, just one, Darla's eyes narrowed. "You can read, right?" "Yes." "Then read the floor chart. I don't have time to babysit." By noon, the lunch crowd poured in like a wave that didn't care who could swim. Lena followed Maya, a senior server with glossy hair and a voice that could turn sweet or sharp in one syllable. "Table 12 wants no onions," Maya said, handing Lena a ticket. "If you mess it up, don't say I didn't warn you." "I won't," Lena promised. In the kitchen, the line cook slid a plate toward her. Someone had added onions anyway. Lena hesitated, looking around for guidance. She saw Maya watching from the doorway, arms folded, waiting. Lena did the thing she always did. She fixed it herself. She picked off the onions, wiped the edge, and carried the plate out like it was perfect. At table 12, the man in the suit lifted his fork, inspected the dish, and sneered. "Are you kidding me? This is swimming in onion flavor." "I'm sorry," Lena said quickly. "I can—" He cut her off with a wave. "Get it away from me!" Across the table, his companion glanced at Lena's name tag like it was a stain. "Lena," she read aloud, stretching it into something small. Fitting. The word stung, but Lena kept her face still. She turned, walked back to the kitchen, and whispered to the cook, "No onions, please." The cook rolled his eyes. "Tell Maya." Lena looked for Maya. She was laughing with another server, sipping soda like she had all the time in the world. When Lena approached, Maya leaned in and murmured, "If you can't handle one table, maybe Darla was right." Lena's fingers tightened around the ticket. She felt the chain under her collarbone, an old thin necklace with a tiny pendant she never took off. It was the only thing that had belonged to someone who'd once promised she mattered. She didn't know yet that Promise was about to walk through the front doors. The first mistake wasn't even hers. When Lena returned to the service station, her notepad was gone, the one Darla had shoved into her hand that morning. She checked her apron, the counter, under the receipt printer. Nothing. Maya drifted in beside her. "Lose something?" "I can't find my pad." Maya's smile stayed small. "Try using your memory if you have one." Lena swallowed and forced herself back onto the floor with 2 iced teas. Table 7 wanted refills, Table 9 wanted napkins, and Table 14 had been snapping their fingers like they owned the air. At 14, a woman with a designer bag didn't look up. Finally, "This tea tastes like sink water." "I can replace it right away," Lena said. The husband laughed. "Replace the server while you're at it." Lena turned to go and felt her ankle catch, her shoelace suddenly loose. She stumbled, tray tilting, ice sliding. She saved it, barely. From behind, Maya's voice floated, amused. "Some people just aren't built for this." Lena crouched to retie her lace and saw the cut. The knot hadn't slipped. The lace had been sliced clean. In the kitchen, she asked for a fresh tea. Darla's voice snapped over the clang of pans. "Why are you wasting time?" "Table 14. Darla's eyes hardened. "They spend more money than you'll ever see. Don't embarrass us." Lena carried the replacement drink out. The woman took one sip, then made a show of grimacing. "Still awful." "I can bring lemon or—" The woman raised her voice so nearby tables could hear. "You can bring me a server who isn't useless." The word landed like a slap. A few diners turned, some looked away fast, others watched, curious. Lena felt the pendant under her collarbone press against her skin, warm from the kitchen. The tiny metal edge dug in like a reminder, keep going. She had survived colder rooms than this, but humiliation had its temperature on days like this. Lena kept her face still. "I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix incompetence," the husband said, tapping his fork on the table like a metronome for her humiliation. When Lena retreated, Darla didn't defend her. She only nodded once, as if the insult had been a fair review. Maya leaned in at the station, voice sweet. "Don't take it personal, people can smell weakness." Lena stared at the order screen until the sting behind her eyes calmed. No tears here, not in front of them. Then a ticket flashed. Hot soups for table 3, pasta for 5. Maya waved her over. "Your turn, carry this." The tray was heavy, crowded with steaming bowls that threatened to slide. "I can help," Lena said. Maya shoved the tray into her hands. "You wanted to learn, right?" Lena stepped into the dining room, balancing weight and heat. She reached table 3, lowered the first bowl and exhaled. An elbow struck her side. Not an accident, more like a shove disguised as clumsiness. The tray jolted. A bowl tipped. Thick stew spilled down Lena's shirt and apron, warm and sticky and impossible to hide. A gasp, then laughter. Someone muttered, "Oh no!" The woman at 14 clapped once, delighted. "See, useless." Lena's throat tightened. For a second, she saw herself the way they wanted her to be, small, broken, easy to discard. Instead, she set the tray down with trembling control and whispered, "I'll clean this up." Darla stormed over, voice sharp enough to cut. "Go, fix yourself, you look pathetic." Lena hurried toward the back hallway, shoulders hunched, trying to outrun the room's chuckles as they followed her like footsteps. Lena found the employee restroom at the end of the hall, past stacked crates. She locked the door, braced her palms on the sink, and breathed through the tightness in her chest. The mirror showed it all. Stew stains across her shirt and apron, hairline damp, eyes too bright. She ran cold water and scrubbed anyway. In her pocket, her fingers grazed the cut end of her shoelace. Not a slip, a clean slice, a message. She pulled the thin necklace from under her collar. The pendant was small and worn, an oval of dull metal. The engraving on the back had faded with years and cheap soap, but 3 letters remained sharp. E.H. Lena didn't remember the face that had given it to her, only a voice, steady, patient, saying, "If you ever feel invisible, hold this and breathe. Someone out there is looking." A knock tapped the door. "You okay?" It was the hostess. Lena swallowed. "Yes, I'll be out." The hostess hesitated. "Darla's mad, but listen, sometimes the room changes in 1 minute. Just keep your eyes open." Lena stepped into the hallway, still damp, still stained, and stopped short. The front doors had opened. Not with the usual bell and chatter, but with a heavy swing followed by a silence that rolled through the restaurant like a sudden fog. Footsteps came next, firm, measured. A radio crackled once. Clear. Lena edged to the corner and looked out. A small convoy had entered. 2 people in dark suits, a woman with an earpiece and several uniformed officers who moved like they'd rehearsed the space. In the center walked a man in dress greens, decorated but not flashy, his posture straight enough to feel like a warning. General Elias Hawthorne. The dining room reacted without thinking. Conversations died, hands lowered. Even the customers who had laughed a minute ago suddenly remembered manners. Darla rushed forward with a bright, brittle smile. "General, welcome, your table is ready." He barely nodded. His eyes swept the room once, not hunting for a menu but searching like someone counting exits. Then he saw her. Lena stood half hidden by the hallway wall, clutching her apron. The general's expression shifted, just a flicker, like recognition trying to become real. He stepped toward her. "Miss," he said, calm but carrying, "are you working here today?" Darla laughed too loudly. "Yes, General, that's Lena. She's new." The general didn't look at Darla. His gaze stayed on Lena's face. Lena's voice came out thin. "Yes, sir." "What's your full name?" he asked. The question felt wrong in the best way. Too personal for a restaurant, too careful for a stranger. "Lena," she said, "just Lena." His eyes narrowed, not unkindly. "And before that?" Lena blinked. "Before what?" Lena's fingers found the pendant at her throat. The chain had slipped into view. The general's gaze dropped, EH. His breathing changed, tiny, controlled but real. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Where did you get that?" "It's mine," Lena said, protective. "It was given to you," he replied, gentle but certain. "By someone in uniform." Lena stared at him. "How would you know?" He didn't answer right away. His hand touched his own collarbone as if something matched beneath the fabric. He didn't pull it out. He didn't have to. The room held its breath. Darla hovered nearby, confused and suddenly nervous. Maya watched from the service station. Smile gone. Lena felt the hallway shrink, until there was only the general's steady eyes and her pendant warming under her fingers. Then he said the sentence that flipped everything. "Lena," he murmured, "I think I've been looking for you." Power didn't always raise its voice. Sometimes it simply redirected the room. General Hawthorne turned and an aide moved instantly. "Water," the general said, "and a clean cloth for her." Darla tried to step in with a practiced smile. "General, we can handle—" "You will," he replied, calm, "but you will handle it with dignity." The aide returned with a glass of water and a folded linen napkin. Lena accepted them, blinking hard as she dabbed at her shirt. Her cheeks burned, but the general's calm steadied her breathing again. "Sit," the general said, indicating a chair by the hallway. Lena hesitated. "I'm supposed to be working." "You're supposed to be safe," he said. "Sit." The general faced Darla. "Who supervises this shift?" "I do," Darla answered quickly. "Then you answer for what happened." He nodded toward the dining room. "A worker was mocked and soaked on your floor." Darla lifted her hands. "It was an accident. She dropped—" The general's eyes sharpened. "Did she drop it or was she helped?" General Hawthorne looked at Lena, voice lower. "Did someone touch you before the spill?" Lena felt the question like a spotlight. Every lesson from every foster home rose up. Don't accuse, don't cause trouble, don't make adults angry. I don't know," she said. The general nodded as if he understood that answer better than a confession. Then he turned back to Darla. "Do you have cameras?" Darla paused. "For security." "Good." His tone didn't change. "Show me the footage." Darla attempted a laugh. "Sir, our recordings are private." "Your restaurant is being considered to host a military fundraiser," he interrupted. "I'm here to decide if this place deserves the trust." They moved into a cramped office. A monitor glowed and the feed rewound to the moment Lena carried the tray. On screen, Lena crossed the floor carefully. She reached table 3. She lowered one bowl. Then an elbow entered the frame, steady, deliberate, nudging her just enough. The tray jolted. The stew poured. The dining room laughed. Darla went pale. Maya leaned forward too quickly. "People bump each other. It's crowded." "That wasn't crowded," the general said. "That was targeted." He paused the frame on the elbow. "That's her?" Darla swallowed. "Maya, one of our top servers." "Then she should be setting the standard," the general replied. They returned to the dining room, and the general stepped into the center with quiet certainty. He didn't shout. He didn't posture. He spoke like someone used to being obeyed, yet choosing fairness instead. "In my world," he said, "we learn something early. Character shows when you think nobody important is watching." His gaze landed on table 14. The woman's chin lifted, then fell. "You called a young worker useless," the general continued. "You laughed when she was humiliated. That is not strength. That is cowardice dressed as comfort." The husband cleared his throat. "General, we didn't mean—" "Intent doesn't erase impact," the general said, cutting him off without heat. "You will apologize, and you will tip as if you understand the cost of disrespect. If that's too hard, you may leave." He turned to Darla. "As for your staff, this ends now. You will discipline the person who caused this. You will pay Lena for the shift she's been forced to endure, and you will institute training on basic decency starting tomorrow." Darla's mouth opened. No words came out. Lena stood at the edge of the room, still stained, still shaking, yet something had changed. For the first time all day, the laughter was gone, and in its place was a silence that sounded like accountability. The dining room didn't return to normal, because normal had just been exposed. General Hawthorne guided Lena back to the hallway. An aide waited at a distance. "Are you hurt?" the general asked. Lena shook her head. "Just embarrassed." He nodded. "Embarrassment passes. Believing you deserve it is what stays." Lena's fingers drifted to the pendant at her throat. "EH," the general said softly. "Those initials belong to Captain Evan Hart." Lena blinked. "I don't know anyone by that name." "You should," he replied, and his voice carried a careful kind of grief. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a slim envelope, worn at the edges. Not official, personal. He offered it without pushing it into her hands. "This was written for you," he said. "It never reached you." Lena took it, hesitant. On the front, in faded ink, were words that made her lungs forget how to work. "To my little Lena, when she's old enough to understand." Her throat tightened. "Who wrote this?" The general didn't look away. "Your father." The word father felt unreal. Lena had grown up with blank spaces on forms, with adults who changed the subject when she asked questions. "I don't have—" she started. "You do," the general said, steady. "Evan Hart served under me. He was the kind of man who made promises and kept them. The night we lost him, he made me swear I'd find you." Lena gripped the envelope. The pendant suddenly felt less like jewelry and more like a key. "He gave you that necklace," the general continued. "He told me the system might fail you, but this wouldn't. He said you'd be the girl who tried to stay quiet when life got loud." A half-remembered lullaby flickered in Lena's mind. A voice in darkness. "Someone is looking." "You've been looking for me," she whispered. "For years," he admitted. "Records shifted, homes changed. Every time I got close, you were moved again." Lena stared down at the envelope. "Why now?" "Because today I finally saw you," he said. "Not on a file, not as a case number, here, alive, still standing." Behind them, Darla hovered near the doorway, twisting her hands. Maya lingered farther back, pale, her confidence cracked. The general turned to Darla first. "Ms. Rourke," he said, "you will write a formal incident report and you will apologize to Lena in front of your staff." Darla's voice wobbled. "General, this place is drowning. If I lose one contract, then learn to lead without crushing people," he replied. "Desperation is not permission." Darla looked at Lena, eyes wet. "I'm sorry," she said. "I should have stopped it. It wasn't graceful, it was honest." Then the general faced Maya. He didn't shame her in public. He simply made her meet the moment. Maya's lips trembled. "I didn't think it would spill. I just thought she was slowing us down." The excuse sounded smaller the moment it left her mouth. "You will be suspended pending review," the general said. "If you want a second chance, you'll earn it. Training, service, and an apology that costs you pride." Maya nodded, swallowing hard. The general returned his attention to Lena. "You have choices," he said. "I can offer you a safe place, an education fund, and support that doesn't come with humiliation. But you don't owe me anything except one thing." Lena looked up. "Don't let anyone convince you that cruelty is normal," he said. "Not here, not anywhere." Lena pressed the envelope to her chest. For the first time, the word useless sounded like a lie that belonged to someone else. The next morning, Lena woke to something unfamiliar. Quiet that didn't feel like a trap. On the nightstand sat the envelope. She opened it slowly, as if the paper might change its mind. Inside was a letter written in careful, tired lines. Evan Hart told her he was proud of her before she'd done anything worthy. He apologized for leaving too soon. He wrote that kindness wasn't weakness, it was discipline, and at the bottom he signed his name. Lena whispered it like a prayer. Hart. For the first time, she had a last name she truly wanted. 2 weeks later, the harbour room looked the same from the street, but the air inside had changed. Darla held a staff meeting that lasted longer than a rushed warning. No shouting, no threats. She read new rules out loud. No hazing, no humiliation, no customers abusing employees without consequences. She didn't ask if the team agreed. She simply made it policy. Some rolled their eyes. Some looked relieved. Darla held the line anyway, like someone who'd finally realized fear was a terrible management style. Maya returned after her suspension with a notebook of training notes and a face that didn't try to be charming. She found Lena before the shift and stood with her hands clasped. "I was wrong," Maya said. "No excuses. I made you a target because it was easier than admitting I was scared." Lena studied her. An apology didn't erase the spill, but it stopped it from happening again. "I accept that you're sorry," Lena said, "and I'm not going to be small to make you comfortable." Maya nodded. "You shouldn't be." That afternoon, table 14 returned. Same designer bag, same polished arrogance, but a new caution in their eyes. Before Lena could reach them, Darla stepped in. "We have a policy now," she said calmly. "Respect our staff or dine somewhere else." The woman blinked, stunned by the word respect being aimed in her direction. "We're not here to cause trouble." "Good," Darla replied, "then you won't." Lena served their water with steady hands. When the woman opened her mouth to criticize, she met Lena's gaze and stopped. For once, silence did the work. That evening, the dining room filled again, this time for the military fundraiser General Hawthorne had mentioned. Veterans, community leaders and families came not for status, but for support. A small banner by the entrance read, "Dignity First." The general arrived without drama. No scanning, no warning energy, just a quiet smile. When Lena approached with a tray, he stood, not to perform, but to honor. "Lena Hart," he said softly, using the name she'd chosen. Lena's eyes burned, but she stayed steady. "General." During his remarks, he didn't talk about medals. He talked about moments. "There are battles you don't see on the news," he told the room. "They happen in workplaces, in homes, in hallways, and the way we treat the people with the least power reveals who we really are." Darla listened from the edge, hands clasped. Maya volunteered at the donation table, focused, earning her second chance in public. Later, Lena stepped outside for air and found the general under the night sky. "I'm still learning," Lena admitted. "So am I," he said. She touched her pendant, then the letter in her pocket. "Thank you for finding me." The general's voice softened. "Your father found you first, I just kept the promise." Lena looked back through the window at the room that once laughed at her, now quieter, kinder, changed. And for the first time, she didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. Some doors don't just open into a room, they open into a different life. Lena walked into the harbour room, believing she had to earn the right to exist. One bad plate, one spilled drink, and people felt entitled to label her useless. They laughed as if humiliation was a side dish. But the moment General Hawthorne entered, the same room learned a brutal lesson. The way you treat someone who can't fight back is the loudest description of your character. He didn't rescue Lena with a shout. He rescued her with standards. He rewound the truth, he demanded accountability, and then he did something even rarer. He gave people a path to change. Lena discovered her name wasn't just new girl or problem. She was Lena Hart, the daughter of a man who left a promise behind in 3 small letters. Darla learned that leadership without dignity is just fear wearing a badge. Maya learned that insecurity turns into cruelty when nobody interrupts it. And the restaurant that once laughed became a place where respect was policy, proving that redemption doesn't require perfection, it requires a decision. Now here's the question that lingers. How many Lenas have you seen in real life, quietly carrying shame that never belonged to them? If this story hit you, don't just scroll. Drop a comment. What would you have done in that dining room, spoken up, stayed silent, or walked out? And if you've ever been called a name that wasn't true, type "I rise" so someone else feels less alone. Also, tell me your age bracket, teen, 20s, 30s, or 40 plus, because I want to know who these lessons are reaching today. And comment "Dignity First" below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and share it with one person who needs the reminder. Dignity is not earned, it's owed.